Well, good evening. I am Nikki. I am the Director of Programs with Organic Grower School, and I'm joined by Gwen Engelbach, who is our farmer guest tonight from Black Trumpet Farm? Black Trumpet, am I missing a word?
No, Black Trumpet Farm. Yeah.
Okay, suddenly I was like, wait, I'm missing a word. All right. I'm going to share my screen and we'll kind of jump in here. So you are at the information session for Farm Beginnings. And we're going to talk a tiny bit about OGS, a little bit who we are, who teaches and facilitates the class, what is Farm Beginnings overall, what does it entail, what will it look like this coming year, and think about if it's the right fit for you. We'll hear from Gwen as well about her experience in the class and sort of what they've been up to a little bit since then. Um, In the meantime, it looks like you put something in the chat for us, Neil. East Asheville. All right, I like that. So you're more of an aspiring farmer, maybe a gardener that would like to maybe be a farmer. All right, if you have any specific questions you were hoping to get answered tonight that are not answered, just let us know as we go through. And also, if you don't mind in the chat, if you have ever been to an OGS program before, spring conference, anything like that, just let us know. All right, I can get this going. Okay, so I'll just a little intro about Organic Grower School. We have been a small nonprofit for over 30 years now. This is our mission statement. One of our main things that we believe is that through peer-to-peer, farmer-to-farmer education and networks, that we're going to empower people and communities um, here in Western North Carolina and across the Southern Appalachians to celebrate, advance organic growing practice, strengthen local food systems, and promote food sovereignty in a way that both nourishes people and the planet. So I think that, we really have and hope to continue to contribute towards creating a thriving local food community that doesn't just protect the environment, but ensures abundance for all, food sovereignty, and climate resilience. So that's our core mission. And one of the key ways that we do that is through our farmer programs that I am the director of. Oh, somebody just came in. Let me admit them. Hi there and welcome, Kristen. We kind of just jumped in, so
Thanks.
nice to have you. Um, If you wouldn't mind putting in the chat just to remind me and to let others know just where you're located, if you're currently farming, what you're farming, uh, and if you have any specific questions for us.
Gotcha. Okay.
Thanks. So, Organic Grower School, this is our all collective mission, and we have programs throughout the year. We have farmer programs we'll learn a little bit about tonight, and then we have other programs for folks more interested in organic growing and living, and our flagship event, which is the spring conference that many people know us for that. And this next slide I'm gonna go to is these are called our guideposts, and we like to have them in every educational setting that we convene, online or in person. Um, and it speaks to our values as an organization and as we bring people together. So I always like to bring them into anything we do. And this is something that if we meet regularly in Farm Beginnings, we kind of use these as guides along our way as we learn about the farming journey. So we're going to jump in just a little bit about programs in general. So these are things that Organic Grower School does in Farm Beginnings. So I think, Kristen, we met at the craft tour. Those are monthly farm tours that we have. And then Farm Beginnings and Journey Person in this list are year-long educational cohorts that start in the fall. And Farm Dreams is a prerequisite to Farm Beginnings. That's in late September. And that kind of just helps get you warmed up and thinking about some of the concepts that are in Farm Beginnings. And then we also do some other workshops throughout the year. We have been offering curriculum on forest farming, agroforestry, really since 2017, I think. Um, then we do organic crop management, which is an online series really focused on things regarding and related to organic certification. Um, that's happening in September. That's completely free. And then we have a climate resiliency training that's new to us in 2020 526, and we're bringing that back, and that's for advanced farmers, kind of years 10 plus, where we are trying to do more climate resiliency planning for farmers. So this is sort of a snapshot of things that we do in farmer programs. Uh, so we're here to talk about farm beginnings, and I'll tag you in, Gwen. I'm not sure exactly where, but I'm gonna throw you in there before I get into the nitty gritty too much of farm beginnings. So farm beginnings, this is our 10th. We are graduating our 10th class. This is our 10th class that we have this year, so it's a kind of a big moment for us. And really the class is about discovering and articulating your core values and your goals and how to plan for environmental but also financial and personal sustainability of your farm and your farm business, and also to sort of understand and recognize the community that you're in and or that you want to serve and how that goes in a symbiotic relationship to sustain your farm, and then to develop strong networks with one another and with other farmers, to help you along the way. Um, I think it became very, very clear post Helene just how much that network was crucial to our recovery as farmers in agriculture and continues to be. And OGS really has always valued farmer to farmer learning and education. And so we bring farmers into spring conference, into farm beginnings, into Journey Person to teach kind of how they got started and how it's looking for them, and sort of demystify some of the aspects of starting a farm business, essentially. So it is a decision-making process. Um, And one of the things I think that's really special about Farm Beginnings is that you're in a cohort with people in a similar position to yourself. We do ask that farm folks that join Farm Beginnings have a little bit of experience in some manner with like nursery work, forestry, agriculture, so that in a literal and figurative sense, your hands have gotten dirty a little bit, so that you can kind of have an understanding if that physicality of the work itself is something that you're interested in developing into a livelihood. I'm going to share a little video from Olivia. I can't remember, Gwen, if you were in the class with her. Were you? Okay, that's cool. So I'm going to show this little video of her, and then I'm going to kind of pass it to you. And then I don't want to like drone on and on about like the structure until we just kind of get into the heart of the matter, because that's really what brings us together. Let me pull her a little. I went and visited her farm last week. I've been trying to visit graduates' farms this summer, and they are in the process of this is a farm called Soil Shine Farm and Ferments, and they have a perennial business that they're developing, and they are have been having a fermentation business like these last 8 years as they build their perennial business. They didn't have land when they started the fermentation business. They have a name, a brand, a logo, a product, and that has been driving their business development as they move into perennials. So I got to see their new place that they're building and talk with them a little bit about the journey. So I'm gonna just have Olivia share a little video of them um, sharing about their farm beginnings experience. And now she has two children now. When she took the class, she didn't even have a partner. Let's see if I can find it. And Gwen, will you just give me a thumbs up if you hear the audio? Just want to, because who knows, sometimes it can be funny. And I'll make it bigger. Yeah? Is it okay?
I can't hear it.
No, you don't hear it.
No.
Hmm. Okay, I can hear it through my ears. Let me see for a moment. Well, I don't want to waste too much time on that, but maybe I'll send this little clip to you after. Um, yeah, multiple screens may not work. So, as I was remembering, Gwen was in the class with Olivia, which I didn't really plan that out. But yeah, so I'm going to talk in a little bit about like structure of the class, what, if you apply, what you might be committing to if you get into the class. But um, do you want to talk a little bit about your experience in the class, Gwen, and sort of how that helped maybe facilitate or move things forward for your farm vision?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Gwen Engelbach. I operate Black Trumpet Farm with my husband Jay. Let's see, we got started in 2017, and I believe we took the class in 2017, 2018. So it really helped us solidify what we were trying to do. There's a lot of different options and possibilities at the beginning of a farm, and it can become very overwhelming to narrow that down. So we had a piece of land we weren't sure what to do with. We were both working off-farm jobs. We knew we had this dream, but we didn't know what the first steps were to get there, really. I had taken some business classes from Mountain BizWorks. I had had a lot of farming experience working for other people, but it's a huge step to stop working for other people and start your own business. It's a huge component beyond farming. And it's just, there's not like always a clear path. Like it's not like going, you go to nursing school and then you're a nurse. There's no there's no obvious trajectory unless you've really worked on a lot of farms and had experience with small business people. So I really felt like it brought those two dimensions together and helped us really gel our ideas and helped us narrow down from all the possibilities what we really wanted to do, what would actually make us enough money so that we could quit our off-farm jobs. And it allowed us to have a lot of time to think about our goals and to put a lot of things down on paper so that it felt real. And then we could follow the timeline and the kind of infrastructure plan that we had put together. We just had to follow the steps. And then we had the support of our mentor, and we had the support of our fellow cohort, and we had this weekly, or sorry, it was maybe monthly at that point, but we had regular check-ins where it just kept the momentum going. And every time we made a move in the class and showed up and did another piece of the puzzle, it became easier and easier. So it just starts forming into a more solid thing, what you're really doing. And I think that really laid the groundwork for us being able to quit our jobs in 2019. And we've been farming ever since, full time. We grow 800 or more pounds of gourmet mushrooms a week for several markets and several restaurants, lots of restaurants downtown, some wholesale. And it's amazing to look back at the documents that we created in Farm Beginnings and Journey Person because we have these trajectories and analyses of our different products, and you can look back and it really worked. So, I mean, not exactly, but it's an estimate, and you were able to see that some of the planning we did at the beginning did pan out, and it's been, all this time, but it takes a lot of hard work to get there. But I don't think I could have made the leap without having that group of companions. And I still see a lot of those farmers at market. I see them around town all the time. It really broadened my network a lot too. So it hooked me into the community. So I had friends, I had people in the same struggle. Um, and I felt like I was actually like in the crew, in the club of the farmers, kind of in a way. So I really felt like I wasn't on the outside anymore. Um, so yeah, and then we went on to do Journey Person after that, and that helped us even more to make our business profitable. And we did the climate resilience training too, which helped us a lot after Helene to make sure that we're going to keep on farming. Hopefully in the future. And yeah, it's just been a great support network um, whenever I'm putting myself out there, I reference it. I say I did this program. It gives me more credibility in a lot of ways to say that I've done this when I'm talking to grant organizations, especially working on farmers market boards, anything like that. It's like it's a credential that really helps open some doors. So that's kind of our experience with it. I definitely can answer questions or say more, but that's maybe a long-winded already. So yeah.
No, that was great. And I actually, as you were talking, I literally just had a memory of like your enterprise budgets because I remember you were also looking at medicinal herbs or different
Yeah.
herbs. And I remember you being very frustrated. You're like, there's no data for me to like find this information out for enterprise budgets because you have like a niche product with all these different mushrooms. And oh yeah, I was just really remembering that as you were speaking, trying to help you
Yeah.
find information and um
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're kind of wading into the unknown with starting a new business. Unless you're doing some turn like if you're starting a car wash, okay. But if you're starting a farm, like you have to do a lot of trial and error, but there is some information out there, and then there's people that have gotten started already and done it, and those are your real resources, the other farmers and the other people
Hmm.
trying it. So
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I really value about, the classes. Like I'm convening people and bringing people together, and other farmers are coming in to talk about like, what their revenue looked like in the first few years, and then what it looks like after 10 years, and or how they access funding to get started. Like, what did they bring from other work, from savings? How did they get started to like invest in infrastructure? How do you make decisions about infrastructure? How do you deal with people in labor? That's something we really talk a lot more about in Journey Person as you get more advanced, like and those kinds of things. Like, so yeah, there's a lot of different pieces, and farmers, oftentimes don't value their own knowledge, but bringing them into the class and like showing, letting them have a platform to share about what they've learned and how they've done it. We are experts in our own right. And so I really like being able to have that part of it, be a part of it as well.
Yeah, yeah, the presentations from farmers had just such great details that I never would have learned in just a random small business class. It was like a very specific to this sphere of thing. And I definitely remember those PowerPoints from A Way of Life and Krista and
Hmm.
Stephen and some of the other farms. I distinctly remember their detailed methods and how that helped me have a template. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Does anyone have any questions they want to ask Gwen? Thank you for sharing that. I want to come back
I
here.
don't know if I have a specific question. I just feel kind of overwhelmed right now with not really knowing what I want to do and sort of I've
Hmm.
been growing things at my house for a little while and my job sort of has taken up all the extra time. And so
Sure.
it um I guess how
Yeah,
did
just
you
to
know to take this class or how did you know to take the leap?
Yes. Well, we were still working our off-farm jobs while we took the class, but we had found a piece of land that we could afford, and we moved into a camper on the piece of land, and then we were trying to figure out what we could actually do with this land because it wasn't 100 acres or a flat bottom land. It was, a steep slope, couple acres, and we were trying to figure out how we could make it work. And so I had heard about the class by going to the spring conference several years, and I had been working for NC State for Janine Davis, who does a lot of medicinal herbs. And so she's a great resource if you think you might go into medicinal herbs. And I had been working for her, who she's been on the board of Organic Growers School. So I knew that this class might help me narrow my focus and kind of make that leap. And I had just, heard about it through conference and through Dr. Davis. Yeah. But we hadn't started a business yet. We were just in the planning stages, really. We had just known that this was our life goal and dream, and we just had only that part underway. But we had, yeah, a lot to learn from the beginning until now.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty common in the class. Is like I'll occasionally get some folks that are already in operation, but it's mostly people still in the planning phase. And maybe someone like yourself, Kristen, who's been growing things and you're really passionate about it and trying to think about maybe there's a next step that could be taken. So most people are still, working regular jobs, which is why it's in the evening, and we try to make it be as manageable as possible so that it's not like you're inundated with miscellaneous or meaningless homework. Like the goal is for you to like learn about concepts and do things and then start to like try it out for like your own vision. And I'm a little bummed we didn't get to see Olivia's video because one of the things she talked about, and I remember it so distinctly from when she was a student in the class. She was out of college not that long, had a million ideas and was like really excited and just like could not focus on something, could not find one thing. And I said to her, I was like, this is a class, like you just have to choose something as an exercise. Like it may not be what you actually do. That's fine. Just choose something. It could be anything. It could be broiler chickens, be a layer operation. I want you to go through the exercise of like doing the research and putting things down. And so she chose fermenting because she loved it as a hobby. And that is literally what she chose. And we chose someone to mentor her who was a fermenter. And that's what became her business. Now that may not have been the case, but it can be overwhelming and you can have a lot of interests. And sometimes you just have to try focus on something. And then if that ends up not being the thing that teaches you something. And I think what I also have understood and observed over the courses is that you have time to digest. Like a lot of business classes, they're like stuck together for like 6 weeks and it's like all this content and it's just like you get kind of overwhelmed and then paralyzed. But in this class, my goal is for you to be able to digest as we go and change your mind and just have breaks in between and then build relationships with people. And so that's why it's a year long. And so that's the commitment piece. And then once you get through, well, let me get into some of the details of it. But so these are some of the things that come out of it. Like we go through this process of like talking about values and mission and values. And then there's these like hard pieces that Gwen is kind of talking about where you start to think about enterprises, what the thing is you want to do. What does that timeline look like? Like, can I do all those things I want to do in the first year? Or maybe it's in 5 years. So it really is a process of delineation that you get some markers along the way that you can push back against and change your mind against. Um, so what it looks like is meeting almost every week in the fall, particularly. We meet more frequently in the fall, and then as we move into January and February, they space out a little bit because then you're really getting into the nitty-gritty where you're starting to synthesize some of these concepts in January, early February, and you start to join in on conferences and those kinds of things. So they space out a little bit more as you start to like really put some of the pieces together. But we meet online on Thursday evenings. Um, and then as you move into March, we have like participation in the OGS Spring Conference, and then that's when your mentorship is like solidified. And then you move into mentoring in April, and we don't meet online through the growing season. And that's really where, you know, you have this whole plan moving into the growing season, and then you do your mentoring, and maybe that is more of a physical mentorship and more hands-on. And then we come back together in September. Really in August, I start to try to track people down again and make sure people take some time to start reflecting on that mentorship and some of those things they had identified in the winter as their goals. And then we have our graduation in mid-September. So that's like what the structure looks like for each of those classes that we have. I have usually a farmer guest for every class. Like Gwen was mentioning, a few people that will come and teach on different topics. And then we have exercises we do together. You know, I give feedback as enterprise budgets come to me, or enterprise timelines, that kind of stuff. The course is available for 2 farm members. We do give out lots of scholarship, and because we are online, we have people from mostly the Southern Appalachians. Typically, these last few years, it's North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, maybe Georgia. And people are coming from all different kinds of backgrounds, which I think makes the class really rich. People have different skill sets that can share with each other, and that's always really beneficial as well. One of the things about the class cost is it can be really expensive to farm, and so this is an investment in your education, so that hopefully you'll avoid, you know, potentially buying more acreage than you need. That tractor that is not going to be useful for you long term. So like I always try to help people understand that prioritizing spending a little bit of money on educating yourself is going to save you money in the end. That being said, we don't typically have anyone who pays full cost. We do our best to like really meet people where they are in terms of their financial needs. Um, that's something that's very important to us. So we do try to make that work for folks. Well, I just was speaking very extemporaneously, and then like all the slides are done. Um, so I wanted to share the course schedule with you. So I'm going to go to a different tab and show you what it actually looks like in terms of content. I'm rusty on my zooming because I haven't been doing this very much. So first I'll show you the website where you can apply, and there's a little bit more information on there too. Like there's a facts page, and yeah, there's just like things there that you can look at as well. So this is the OGS website. It kind of goes into some detail. This is a mentor of ours, Red Scout Farm. She was in the first class we ever had. Their baby was born and like during the class and stuff. They have a lovely little video there that they now hate because it's so old. Yeah, this kind of just gives you like a little bit more of the rundown, and then some other questions that you could have answered down there. And some of our instructors that we have, which are not all confirmed for this class yet, but we have pretty much regular people that come back every year to teach. And then this tab. Can you see a new tab? So this is the sessions themselves. I'll try to make it a little bit bigger. So we have our Farm Dreams in September, and then this is like October, early November here. We start with our values, and we have Noah Poulis come from Wild East Farm. And that is given a lot of time. And if you do have a farm partner, either like a land mate, somebody who's going to be a decision maker, it's really helpful to have them come, particularly for the first 2 sessions. Like if you have more than one person coming to take farm beginnings but they can't come as regularly, those are two really important ones just to have prioritize those first couple about values and holistic goal. And then by session three, and some of these might move around a little bit each year, they're not all in exactly the same order. We jump into business foundations and what that looks like. How you access capital, how you get started on land access if you don't have that. I start to think about enterprise development. And then we look at different kinds of farming models. We have agricultural cooperation, which looks like cooperative farming. Um, we talk about land access through leasing and owning, resources around that. We tend to have about 50-50 in the class that own land or don't have access to land yet. So it kind of depends on each class. And then as we shift into like the winter months, we move into like enterprise development and financial literacy, essentially, kind of trying to really like do some personal assessment of finances and how that might show up and be replicated in a business context. And then as we round the corner in January and February, we look at mentorship, start to identify skills and resources, do some assessment to help identify what your growing season learning plan is going to be for the growing season. And then we move into marketing and development, and then mentorship as we shift into March and April. So a lot of the pieces regarding enterprise work, enterprise timelines, holistic goal, all of that gets refined as we move into the last few months of the class. And I can attach this to the email, and there's also an example of this, I think, on the website as well. And then in terms of our communication, we have a digital classroom. And so we use Google Classroom. And every class has the recording and slides uploaded after the class in case you missed it or get there late. For every session, we have documents, an agenda, resources, and some of your assignments are in here as well. And these are not all visible to you when you start the class, but so you're not overwhelmed, but as we go, you get things assigned. And they're there for you to access, essentially evergreen. I haven't closed any of my classrooms, as you can see down here. So folks can go back throughout the year. After the class, people tell me, I go back to the classroom and I look at the things and I read them again. And so they're there for you. And so we have that as a way that we communicate with each other and that I can access your work and that kind of stuff. So it's a Google Classroom that you get invited to. And then we have additional resources at the end. And, my goal for the class is, like I said at one other point, like you can come in with an idea and that we can help you really refine it, find and connect with each other and come out on firmer ground because, my goal for this class is to contribute to the sustainable agriculture success and for folks to have a thriving, successful business that's defined in the way that they want it. So if you want to work part-time because you love this other thing that you do, then you're going to build your business around that concept. If you want to go all in, then we're going to help you figure out a timeline of how to do that. So it really is very aligned with your individual and personal goals. Because my hope is that you're going to stay in this in the way that feeds you and keeps you sane and happy and connected. Because a lot of us want to get into farming because of our passion, our love for plants, our love for animals, and it can be a really stressful business and very volatile. And so I want to see people be successful and not start to hate the thing that they thought they loved. That's really important to me. So that's something that we thread throughout the whole class and ask people to speak to as they come in and teach. So I will stop talking now. And Gwen, if you want to add anything to that, or if anyone has questions or comments, yeah, this is a great time for that. And you're welcome to unmute, or Neil, if you have anything you want to hear about. Does that seem accurate, Gwen? Does that resonate with you, what I'm saying? You're been at it a while now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was definitely nodding along. Yeah, no, that definitely. I mean, I love that you have the everything online now. I think back in the day we had a big notebook
Big
that I still
binder.
have, and I
Yeah.
do reference that. Yeah, but I like the online system and um yeah, no, I think it would be so hard to get started without this. And so I just was thinking back to to those times and listening along and just really feeling like I was very grateful to have had that structure to jump in and definitely felt like it was good value. Because we're all like familiar with like maybe going to school and having people to learn with. So it felt like you're coming into something like a familiar setting, and then it gives you a really awesome springboard because you get comfortable and you have like a frame of reference, and then you can really just have like a sandbox to play in and make mistakes, and without it being this, huge loss of funds or like really like crazy thing you didn't think through. You have this time and space to like play some things out. And I feel like planning is so, I've learned in small business that planning is so crucial and you can't really afford to just um to kind of just spend money here and there just willy-nilly. It's like so important to have done some planning first. And it doesn't always work out how you think it will. But that planning I think saves you a lot of time and effort in the long run. And definitely like talking it through with other people who have had experiences is so helpful for business and life. So yeah, just grateful for having been through these programs.
Any other questions for us, Kristen or Neil? I hope that wasn't too overwhelming.
Yeah, not that I can think of. I mean, it's helpful to know that most people go in not really knowing exactly how they're going to do it. Yeah, because I think right now I just feel like kind of like what you were saying, this is something I really like doing, but I don't want to get into it and then realize I hate it or um, yeah, it's overwhelming or stressful or not planned well or whatever. And
Mhm.
yeah, I think that's why I've sort of had a one toe in, one toe out for a
Mhm.
while.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. All right. Thanks. All right. Well, I think that will be it for us. I'm glad we got to do this. Thanks for coming. And Gwen, thanks for being able to do it after last week wasn't a success. So thank you for coming back this week.
Yeah, no problem.
And if y'all have any questions or any difficulties with the application or anything like that, just let me know. Um, there is, I think, still a discount. I don't know if it's listed on the website, but we always give people like $100 off tuition if you apply and submit your application before like sometime in August. So I think it's pretty soon, like August 3rd or August 4th. But
Yeah.
the application is not that complicated. So it's pretty easy to fill out. All right, everyone. Well, good night and thank you so much.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good